I want to talk about the grooming and the toxicity that goes on within these quote unquote safe rooms. I'm talking about when I was growing up and a lot of other teenagers at the same time. A lot of us struggle with depression and anxiety and mental health issues that we just could not wrap our hands around what was happening. And a lot of times when you go through mental illness, you feel like you're the only one in the room. You feel like you're the only person ever experiencing this. So when you find these chat rooms, these forums, these support groups filled with thousands and thousands of people going through the same thing, experiencing the same thing, talking about the same things you're feeling and hearing, in the limelight, it seems very positive. It's okay, I can go to this space and I can uplift this fellow brother or sister. And on my bad days, they can uplift me as well. But what a lot of people don't talk about is the problem is teenagers, ranging from 13 to 18, or even adults. I wouldn't even subject it down to teenagers, but this happened when I was a teenager. We would go into these rooms being sad, being confused, trying to find the answer, trying to find out who we are, why we're this way, what makes us think this way. And you're pouring your heart out, practically begging for help, begging for understanding, begging for guidance. And the problem is you sometimes have these adults that come in, and a lot of the times they either might actually have a mental illness, or they just see a place where there's naive, pubescent people in the room that are easy manipulated. And so I've seen people that probably wouldn't even technically be mentally ill, but they know there's a spot where kids are looking for attention. They know there's a spot where kids want guidance, a friend, somebody to listen to them. So they go into these rooms and they act like the most depressed person in the room, talk about how suicidal they are and how they want to kill themselves. And so now you have all these teenagers running to this one person saying, hey, let's talk in the private chat. Hey, don't do that. I'm here for you, giving them their numbers, da 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 da. And they're eating it up because at the end of the day, they're predators. And the one thing people do with these online support groups, with these group chats, with these forums is, if you act depressed enough, if you act like you don't have your wits together enough, your prey will come to you. So they're typing these long fake messages of how they're about to jump off a building and how they're suicidal. And now they have 10, 20, 30 people lined up to talk to them, lined up to quote unquote save them. In reality, they just want attention. Reality, they just want to be seen or to be heard. And a lot of the times this can be dangerous because these people that fake their mental illnesses and fake who they are and are predators in these rooms, it can get very dangerous because these people are going to these teenage kids that don't know any better, that don't understand online safety, that don't understand that people are dangerous, and that because somebody is nice to you online that they're your friend. So now these people are pulling these kids, pulling these young adults into private chats, and now they're becoming more intimate because they're trauma bonding at this time. It's like, hey, tell me what's wrong with you. I'll tell you what's wrong with me. And they're in their own personal DMs talking about their lives and talking about their trauma and talking about their mental illness. And then that predator be like, well, let's make a run for it. Or what's your address? Or tell me about your family. And now because this teenager or young adult doesn't know any better, they're giving this stranger that they never met before, they don't know their real name, they don't even know what they look like, all this information about them because they truly feel like, oh, this is my friend. Oh, this person is a mentor to me. This person is the person that's going to save me. And that's not. A lot of the times, and that's one thing I've learned going through those couple years of my life. I met more people online that wanted to do harm to me than I did that wanted to actually save and care for me. And I didn't think about it for a long time until I saw in the news where this girl met a guy online, fell in love with him. He made her seem like he was 16 as well. And he asked for her address. Not thinking, not being smart, not studying online safety, not understanding that you really don't know these people online. Like, these people don't have the best intentions for you in their heart. She gave this man her address. He proceeded to come to her house, kill her mother and her grandmother, and then kidnap the girl. Later to come find out the man was a ex-state trooper that was way older than 16, of course. And so I'm making this video because I know how it feels to feel so alone, to feel like no one in the world understands me, to feel so isolated within yourself, to feel like there's no place to go, there's no place to run. And so when we find these people that give us empathy, that give us compassion, that sees us, it's easy to fall into these people's traps and not realizing that all they're doing is grooming me for an ulterior motive, for a next step. They're not talking to me because they want me to feel better, because they want my depression or anxiety to get away. If you go into these online group chats, if you go into these forums and support groups, if you stay long enough, you see how toxic they really are. A lot of the times it's battles between the people in these groups trying to see who's the most depressed, who's the most suicidal, who can do the most cuts, who can do the most suicide attempts. It's never really groups of let's heal. Let's find a way where we can cope with our mental illness, where we can cope with our depression, where we could cope with PTSD or whatever mental illness you're struggling with. A lot of them when you join in, they seem that way. It seems like, okay, this is a place where you can get genuine love and you can get genuine healing and resources. But you're a couple months in, and let's say you start to feel better within yourself and how you feel. And then you look at the group you're in and they're all not improving. They're all not trying to take strides and to improve, but instead they're trying to one up each other in the sadness that occurs inside of them every single day. That's something that teenagers, young adults, or anybody struggling with mental illnesses need to stay away from. I think it's good to go look for that outside help, to go look for that outside validation, to go look for those resources. But a lot of the times, sometimes you might need to create that if you want that positive space. Sometimes you need to do your research. You need to understand what grooming is, what a predator is, what somebody that is just truly sad is versus to somebody that's faking it and wants to take advantage of you. Because I truly feel like when it comes to mental illness, none of us should be alone. We should all band together and we should all heal together and try to find a better light in our past. But there are always those spoiled apples that are on the tree trying to poison the tree, that is trying to take us down and hurt the other limbs when we did nothing wrong. So I ask if you are a person that struggles with mental illness, struggles with depression, anxiety, and you feel like you have nobody, you feel like you're alone and you want to reach out to resources that are going to help you. I highly recommend start off with the proper resources, like the suicide hotline, or if you're in America, call 988. There's so many legitimate resources with professional medical doctors that can help you for free, and just to talk, just to have somebody to get you off the ledge. You don't always have to go to these online support groups, these forums and chat rooms, to find a place to heal, to find a place to have resources and to feel seen. A lot of these rooms, forums, and support groups are run by average civilians, are run by people that don't know anything about diagnosing others, don't know anything about healing, don't know anything about what it's like to be better within themselves. A lot of these rooms are cesspools for trauma, are cesspools for depression and anxiety, and for cutting and suicidal people that once you're in it, there is no way of getting out. And a lot of times you feel like, I'm in this room and I had to save everyone in this room. But you never realize that a lot of them do not want to be saved. A lot of them do not want to come out of their depressive states, do not want to come out of their suicidal thoughts and try to find an alternative. With having mental illness and being around people with mental illness, it's so easy to stay in that dark hole. It's so easy to stay in that part of your brain that you don't want to move out of it. And you don't know anything else outside of that. And I advise you, if you are seeking this help, go to these suicide hotlines and go to the 988s and go to these professionals that will help you, because it's dangerous out here. It's so easy to trust somebody, and then next thing you know, they're trying to kill you. And I don't want that for anybody that's listening to this, or anybody out there in the world, to just want help, just to want to feel loved and seen, and then end up being murdered because they trusted someone too much that they'd never even met or heard or knew information about.